25 of 32, and it's great to be back in Yeoju-si in the Gyeonggi-do province. A look at the weather. Broken skies, mostly cloudy with the sun peeking out at times. 19 degrees, the humidity is at 60%, and a steady breeze of 3 meters per second. 108 players in the field this week. Should be a very exciting race for the championship. Two previous winners of this 22-now-year-old event, including Chanana, who won in 2013, and Kim Soo-ji, who won by 2 strokes last season over Peng Min-ji and has been on unbelievable form the past few weeks here on the LPGA Tour of Korea. Back-to-back winner between Shi and Peng Min-ji. Those are your last 3 tournament champions. That's a good way to begin our coverage of round number 1. Peng Min-ji, a tip of the cap as she finds her second birdie of the front 9 to be at an even 36 at the turn. We have a couple of players starting to put some space between themselves in the field. Here is the aforementioned Chanana. She's been on an unfortunate run of form the past few weeks, stretching into several weeks. She is +5 so far in the early stages of this event. Remember the last event that we had, she withdrew midway through hole number 9. She currently finds herself down in a tie for 86th position. Yuhei Ran also in this group with Peng Min-ji, also looking at a putt for birdie, but that tails away to the outside of the hole. That is a perilous lie. Swooping with the slope and staying out. Birdie 4, bogey 5. She too is even at the turn. This is a mostly flat putt for Park Yeon-gyung. Doesn't take the breakaway. It's one she would have loved to have had. First hole of her back 9, she finds herself at +2. Here is the defending champion. The kind of putt she can make in her sleep, especially the past few tournaments. She is 1 under, back-to-back birdies 2 and 3. Her bogey came at the 8th, and she will head to the 10th at 1 under. Out of the sand and looking for the save. That is pushed to the outside as well, so very unforgiving. 10th hole this. Two bogeys, 2 double bogeys, 6 over after 1 hole of the West Course here at Blue Heron. This is the second shot, still 270 meters to go, and the fairway wood in hand for So-ji. Probably wants to set herself a little bit more to the left of the fairway than that, but she'll take any portion of the fairway if you're splitting hairs. And trying to save par, just about 4 feet. And no problem for Park Yeon-gyung. A birdie-free round thus far, though she's stabilized since she started the tournament with 2 drop strokes in the first 3 holes. And Genie, 263. Staying left would be preferential here with the pin placement today at the front right of the green and over the sand. You want to give yourself as much leeway as possible. That's the fairway you'll take, especially with it as narrow as it is, as it starts to wind its way down towards the hole. As we enter another week, let's update you on the LF Hazi's point standings. Yuhei Ran continues to lead by over 1,200 points. Kim Soo-ji, as you'd expect, making some serious moves. She's up 2 spots. Supplanting Pak Ji-young and Shi-Han Sol, who both drop 1 to 3rd and 4th respectively. EA1, the rookie, she's finding that red-hot form that she had really put together in the first few months of the season. She's up a spot to 5th. Pak Min-ji drops 1 from 5th to 6th. And then Lee So-mi and Im Hee-jung, no movement from them. They remain in the top 8, though there is a late push from Im Ji-ni and Cho Ai-yeon, about 400 points back of that 8th and final automatic qualifying position for the LF Hazi's Point Championship, a 2-round event at the end of the season. Quite the gap, though, admittedly, from 1st to 8th. 7,725 for Yuhei Ran at the top to 3,895 for Im Hee-jung in 8th. It is a breathtaking view of a nearly untouched forest to the right side of the hole. Significant downhill drop-off. About 9 yards.
Shot.
From the tee blocks to the in-play position. Takes a leap off the final cut of the fairway and will settle in the tall grass. So young, she remains 10th in the season-long money list. 484 million won collected this season.
Shot.
Well, the drive sounds great. Will it stay? Yes, it will. Nice little carom back into the fairway. Who tied for 21st last season at this event with a 2-under final round score.
Okay.
Just going to get a great roll up towards the back. Nestles in nicely. Patiently waiting. First couple rounds of the event with the larger fields always take a little bit longer for the groups in front to clear. Spend a few minutes anywhere else do you wait. The putting green is often the responsible place to be. Let's go back to 10. Tells you just how much force it takes to lift the ball out of that rough. And we'll slide all the way to the back left. That's a pretty striking representation from the backside of the green to show you just how tight that pin placement is here in round one. Now so Jean. Two under last week in the 3-round event. 71, 72, 71 was her tournament. Just shy of the green on this approach. It's a course that opened in 1992. The design philosophy is space where nature and art can breathe together. Highlighted specifically a European strategic atmosphere. The West Course, which is the side of this beautiful golf club that will play the back nine. Offers a grand and aggressive course. Pretty lofty ambitions, the course striving to become the best course in Korea. It's tough to pick a best, isn't it, with how many incredible venues we see round in and round out. The extra bit of time to prepare for that shot pays off. The rookie goes back into fairway and sets herself up pretty well. Speaking of fairway, fancy her odds from there. Uses the slope expertly. Slows up just inside of a meter, meter and a half. It's a great up. Home jump mean from the rough. Just outside of gimme range, needs the weight. Well, she had it, and the sound of exasperation from off camera paints a pretty strong picture. Frustrating miss. Birdie to move her into a share of the lead, but it comes up just short. Back to 10. 251. Playing the setup, also slightly uphill. Another one from right to left, and she finds the rough just beyond. No doubt a very, very narrow fairway here at number 10. She'd have to hole out to move to under par, so Jean just trying to keep it close for a par, which is exactly what she does. from the fringe. It's No Sung-yi. Needs to start this to our right of the hole. A little bit too close to right on line, and it drifts over.
그래도 공이 보이면 이건 틀리죠. 옆에 가도 공이 살짝 보이잖아. 그건 살수 있어. 전혀 안 보이고.
Well, a heavy strike of that ball from the opposite side of the green. Still inching ever closer. It's a great setup shot. We've seen a few players, a few groups make their way through this 498-meter par 5, but this is the view all the way down from the tee block. As you can see, it is a relatively straight hole, not much of a deviation on either side, but a narrow fairway. You'd have to be in a whole lot of trouble to find that first sand trap off to the left, and then from there, your setup shot in between those two final bunkers that line either side of this fairway, and the beach party continues all the way down to the green. The biggest to the right, two smaller ones off to the front left with trees on either side. And that topographical map, shows you just how tricky it is to get yourself close enough for a birdie. Anything outside of probably a 10-meter radius on that front right arm, and you are rolling away.
Shot!
Jung with a big blast out into the fairway. But that needed to go, at least start more to the inside. That's hung up, and unfortunately that undoes that incredible first swing with the putter. Sung-hyun. She will have quite the following this week. Someone who primarily plays on the LPGA Tour. 29 years of age, back on the KLPGA. So we go to 11. The weight looks okay if the line is there, which it is. Finally a birdie at long last for Park Young-kyung. Tied for 6th when the dust had settled on this event back in 2021. Plenty of cruel putts left and right. Birdie averse at the moment. She earned that one with the approach shot. Here at 13, her third birdie of the day, and moves within one of the leaders. Yeah, one's third. Backspin helps keep her in a pretty good spot here. Sole possession of third, two back of the finalists that went into a playoff, a one-hole playoff that Kim Soo-ji would go on to win. Lands softest of impacts and will just settle on the fairway. Now he's so young. Comes up short. You play the aggressive game. That is the risk you know you run. Searching for some answers after watching that putt go awry. That approach, excuse me. Now Eun teeing off at 11. Just pulled 7-iron out of the bag. 159 meters is the shorter of the two par threes on the back nine. Pretty well middle of the green if you were to start from its most shallow point to the left of your screen, but you can see the flag just over that last sand trap, and this looks hooked. It's not that big of a blow. She can definitely putt down, but she will not want to overhit that second at 11. Jump from the fairway after one of her patented brilliant drives. She goes fairway to fairway. Next up at 11, So Jean. Meters at the apex. This is a bit more on line. The slope's going to help. You can see why you reach for a little bit more on this tee shot, knowing that there will be some kind of a gradual rollback so long as you find the putting surface. She is a 10-time winner on the LPGA Tour of Korea. Financial Classic was her most recent. September the 4th of 2016. That's really when she made her leap. Knows how to win on the LPGA as well. Knows how to win majors. 2017 U.S. Women's Open champion, where she won by 2 strokes over Chae Jin, who was, I believe, still an amateur back then. This is as close to the middle as we've seen yet. Lands and pretty well stays put. In terms of how deep it was from the flag, that's a great tee shot. Of the three, she has probably the only likely birdie of the lot, but it is no small feat, those downhill putts. Go to the sand at 10, Lee So-young, blasting it out. Low trajectory, but the fringe does her a solid, taking some of the speed off, and she stays close. .34 on the front nine.
Oh, good shot.
The second to last group to tee off here at number 10. To the right side of the fairway in a good spot. Tied for 21st last year at this event, tied for 10th last week. Ball was coming back for the rookie, but not until it was level with the hole. It's a short par to keep her at +2. She is, at the moment, the pace setter at 4 under par. One of her final holes of the day, and it's shots like that that have helped her establish this lead. It's a great up. Lee So-young. That's the scorecard thus far. Bogey-free round. Birdies at 11, 15, and 5 to have her sat 1 stroke clear of the field. Back to 10, Lee So-young. Just pushed. So it'll be her second bogey, in the last 3 holes, dropping herself to over par. Speaking of pushed, number 10 claims another victim. It's like gridlock at rush hour. And a bogey. Disappointed tip of the cap. 2 and 3 are the ones that she had drop shots on. finally the go-ahead. Just over 100 meters still to collect. She gets a great bit of backspin, keeps her on the putting surface. Settles just on the fringe, but very, very close to the pin. Now Imjini, this is a lengthy look at birdie. Rolls to about 7 feet beyond. That's the aforementioned danger you run on those downhill putts. It's a bit easier to come back up the hill, but not by that much. Jung has game face on. Narrowest of misses with part of the ball hung over the lip. Nearly a perfect 3 for 3. That pink Volvic ball bites just before the fringe as well. Birdies are becoming an increasingly rare commodity today. Have to settle for a tap-in. That will not budge the score, however. Comes up, begins the roll back down. Now Imjini needs this to save par and avoid dropping. Some break to it as well. Inside out. She needed that speed to get up the hill, but it grazes the front lip of the cup and says, no mas, it's staying there. Trying to play a tight line was Pak Ji-young and unable to avoid the sand trap defending the green as we go back to No Sung-yi. And no longer on the doorstep of the lead, so that's overhit as well. Jung to get one step closer to even, needs to go, yes! Slowing up and was almost a haunting miss, but she has 3 birdies in a row now after a tumultuous opening 7 holes that saw 4 bogeys. Takes 2 swings. 3 Ji Hyun 3. 3 pars in a row. She has missed 3 of her last 5 cuts on the LPGA. It's been a difficult 2022 season, maybe beginning to rediscover some of that great form. It's not going to help the cause. In fact, she hasn't had a top 10 finish since 2019. That was the year when she finished as the #2 golfer on the planet. Let's go to 7. Pei Su-Yan for birdie. Dips the knees and hopes that the line would cooperate. Quick reset, refocus, and finishes with her par. Still a bogey-free round, though she knows she let an opportunity to double up that advantage slip by. From what should have been a likely par to a double bogey in just 2 strokes. Oh Seung-Hee right back to even after being up in the top echelons. That is going to make for a very interesting second shot if that ball can even be found. The Volunteers trying to keep eyes on it. It's over with the flags to try and mark it, and she's on the hunt. Like we've discussed, it is such a difficult thing to be stuck waiting on the putting green for the green light. It was 40 minutes ago now that we were watching the first shot of the day being Wang Minji's birdie. Seung-Hyeon. So tap in. Not the birdie she would have been searching for, but starts the back 9 with a par. Still no official word whether Minji's ball was found, but it is almost certain she'll take a provisional after Kim Soo-ji. The final 2 drives were without incident. Now the attention will turn towards the cart path to see what beholds the season-long money leader. There is the provisional. That's more like it. To the left side of the fairway, and this 35th and final group make their way down the 10th fairway at long last. 81 meters from the bunker. Pak Jiang going to try and reach. She sails it over, and under that little dip, she will find herself in the rough. That backspin, so close to the pin. It's nearly eagle caliber. Well, it's been an interesting first 40 minutes of round one, and we've seen some players make some ground, including Sung Gaun and a great birdie at 14, but we have not seen Pei Su-yan be able to increase the size of that margin atop the leaderboard. We'll take a break and be back out to Blue Heron in a flash. Welcome back. Here we are at 10 with Kim Soo-ji. Her approach down, needing to stay in the fairway from where she began. That is mission accomplished. As we go to 18. Songi for birdie. Plenty of movement on this one. Navigates it well. One of the first to finish over on 18 with 2 birdies in the final 3 holes to climb back to level footing at the end of this opening round. And a 7-iron at the tee on 11. That's a very direct path over the sand. If it's deep enough, it's okay. Definitely an iron shot that she can work with. Jihan Sol at 10, looking to hole out. Putter in hand from the fringe to get to 3 over. There aren't many better in the country at finding success from off the green than she. It's her first birdie of the day. Is another trip through the forest that Bung Min-ji would not have been wanting to take. So she was able to find her first. Her second shot brings her to the other side of the fairway. She just has to punch out on her third. For 40 minutes seemingly throwing her off her rhythm. Be curious to see how she recovers from this point. It's Park Sang-hyun. It's pretty deep in the tee blocks, away from the divots, finding some fresh grass, and that's headed left. And unfortunately, oh, maybe not. It looked like it was going to hang up there at the back edge, but gravity finally kicks in. Take birdie out of the equation. That's going to make par a challenge. Chung Yoon-ji to get to 1 under par, just enough of the inside of the hole for it to drop for her. 4 birdies now on the day. Unfortunately, there's been 3 bogeys on par 4s, but she is back beneath par. And Park Ji-young on a wild ride here at 10. Despite all that, trying to save her par. It's about 3 meters out, slightly downhill, but she's pulled it. So that will be a drop. Down around the bend and looking right over the trap. Needs to be close with the misadventure she's had so far. 158 remains, and she's off. G from birdie at the last. The significant delay, and unfortunately she will only be spending the one hole at even par. That begins to tail in quite comfortably. Suji, 109 from the fairway, trying to set up a birdie. 2 back and a tie for 8th, trying to join the 6 players. 1 back of the leader, needs a bit of backspin. Well, as we've seen from Jihan Seoul, that is doable from that part of the fringe. Jihyun 3, one of those 6. 2 holes to play. She rolls right back to the front. Don't know if that's dry. Definitely brings the water hazard in play. It's 108 meters from just off the left of the fairway. The 3rd shot for Yuhei Ren. Finds its loft quickly, and she will be right on the fringe. Kim Soo-ji. And the leader, Bae Soo-yeon, 2nd at 8. Just given a crash course that being a little bit longer here is not a bad thing. Up out of the green and settling nicely, and I think the conversation now, do I hit again from here? Where's that direct line back from the water? Is it in the hazard? The question's being asked on the 8th. Now, Pacquiao, her final hole of the day, having teed off at number 10. Would have been a highlight and a statement finish to move her into a share of the lead, but it's not to be. Number 18, Kim Ji-soo, 133 meters. That's going to get a brilliant little roll all the way up the hill. So it's nice and close. It's about 6 or 7 feet back. The birdie would move her within 1. Muscling that out of the rough. Pang Min-ji nearly, in the most unlikely of fashions, saved a par, as she is just centimeters away. Tap in bogey and back to +1. Hopefully for her sake, there aren't as many delays on the tees from here on out. Still 8 holes to go. Pak Sung-yeon, excuse me. Starts this well to the inside. The line looks really good. It's just slightly soft. All the time she spent on the putting green about 40 minutes ago. don't know how you prepare for a putt like that. Clearly she's dialed in the weight of her putts well. Pacquiao to the inside. Could have been a birdie and a share of the lead. Instead, it is a bogey at the last. 2 in her final 4 holes, down to T8. Ending, excuse me, unfortunately on a bit of a cold snap. Amy Jung, quite the run she has been on since a very, very difficult opening to this tournament. Narrowly misses on another birdie. But the birdie run ends at 3 as she pars the 11th. Hits that like a line drive into the upslope, and it's perfectly on line and holes out. Wasn't even that much of a hill to try and find there, but she hits the perfect spot to take all the speed away. In most cases, I'd say she thinned that, but instead, it is excellence as she finds another birdie. And she is one of the most consistent and hottest players on course right now. Nobody seemingly can keep pace. Brings her up to within 1. Sungyeon was short of the green on the approach. Trying to get up and down from the rough. Floats that into a nice remaining proximity, and she's rightfully impressed with herself on that shot. Let's go back to 10. Different strategy for Yu Hei Ren, going the Chihan Sol approach, putting from the fringe. She's got it up, but not quite with enough pace. Flag momentarily comes out so she can finalize her par. It's a great par. From where she started that first putt to where she is now, that is one happy golfer. Sungyeon trying to stay within 1. That's her par. 3 holes to play. To reach 3 under, which is a score to beat at the moment. Pacquiao 1 under through 10. Also going with 7-iron. There's the natural inclination for these balls to go right to left. We haven't seen many pretty well straight to the other side of the green. She'll avoid the sand, but is in a bunker just of the grass variety. And Kim Ji-soo, one final chance to advance. Pacquiao, who finished her round about 10 minutes ago in a similar fashion, though on the 18th green instead of the 9th. Ji-soo trying to ensure that she isn't replicating that bogey performance we saw on the other side of the clubhouse. This is the second to last hole for our leader and her group mates. Jihyun 3, that's where she landed, 9 meters short at the very edge of the pond, nearing the waterfall. So into the drink, the penalty applied, and now this is her fourth. So will drop her now 2 off the pace. Pulls out. Well, the hope, the goal from that position would be to get it up the hill and keep it close. And she finally has a birdie, but it takes a pitching wedge instead of a putter. She dunks that from off the green. It's a fantastic birdie and one that she will be able to breathe a sigh of relief from. Kim Ji-soo also exhaling as she avoids a bogey at the last. Birdies at 6, 7, and 10. Bogeys at 14 and 15 for an opening round of 71. It's an interesting start to this back nine. You get the longest hole on course 10. You get a short par 3, and then finally back on the par 4s, you have a drastic dogleg left. You can see Im Jung basically teeing off a foot from the block. She shapes that artfully, nicely into the fairway, nearly dead center. Let's go back to 8. This is a putt from quite some distance to maintain the lead. She doesn't look overly thrilled with it. You don't hear it and you see the walk. So she will be relinquishing this lead with 1 to go. That is assuming she's able to connect on that par in a few moments' time. First putt, 8.3 yards out. That's the bogey secured for Jihyun 3. Suyeon will be next with about 1 yard to go for the bogey. For obvious reasons, this is one of the most difficult shots on the course, and we are seeing why. Even someone who for a few years was the second best golfer in the world finds some difficulties as she tries to follow Im Hee-jung's lead and fade that around the corner. It's narrow, and you can see, she goes, that was awfully close. But it has enough to drop her first bogey of the day and no longer the outright leader. So we go back to 11 with Park Ji-young. An excruciating distance and uphill. I think she needed to carry that a little bit further. It's definitely going to be short, but how much? That's about 4 meters still to go with an uphill putt. She's only 119 points back of Yoo-hae Ren now, 4th on the points list. She's been pipped by EA1 in the money, dropping to 5th, but still just a remarkable season. Now I'm trying to figure out, based on where I am, what's the best line to take to get out of the trees. No such troubles for Im Hee-jung. It's 149 meters on her approach. Left side of the green is the pin. She finds the center. And we'll start to roll back towards the front of the green. Still plenty to be done there. Still a momentary pause for Park Sang-hyun. We'll return to 12 in a minute. In the meantime, Jiang wedging that off the flag and able to secure her par after under-hitting this 159-meter par 3 11th. Kind of remarkable to think that this final group, they teed off almost exactly 4 hours ago. And they're on just their second hole of the back nine. As they're starting to move back into a rhythm now for them. Kim Soo-ji with the popular club here at 11, 7-iron. She lands on one of the only flat portions of the green and kicks over to the right. Tournament official is out
되는데
to
다시
consult
한번
with Park Sang-hyun.
거기에요? 네. 이 장갑을 좀.
Well, while she, I believe, starts to make her way back towards the tee blocks, I'll show you the overhead view of 11. There are the 3 bunkers to the right side of this green, and look at that shade of red on the left side. See, it's a very good illustration of how it slopes away to the right, away to the left. Tests the accuracy of even the best on tour. Yuhei Ran certainly falls into that category. Also 7. It's a high lofted tee shot, 25 meters at the apex. One of the reasons why she's going to end up short of the green. Especially on a hole like that where there's a significant drop, 13.5 meters from the tee blocks to the green. The higher you loft it, the less distance you're able to carry. It's okay to be a bit higher than the pin on that particular tee shot. So she marches back from where she rolled under the bushes as the driver out to make her drop. strategy, looking for a bounce back hole, going for a bit more club. 6-iron. That's the right choice. Keeps herself on that central ledge. And is in a very good spot. Very good window to try and erase that bogey at 10. Nice way to finish the round. A birdie to finish even. A perfect 75. Birdies at 16 and 18. It's a cherry on the Sunday for Kim Chae-hee.
프론트까지 140. 아예 프론트, 오른쪽 프론트.
여기 어때요? 짧은데?
이 뒤에서 한번 봐봐요. 어필 라인과
Very
거리가
the grass from where she will play that drop. She still has quite a few trees to try and navigate. The drop's been made. To need to find the balance here. Unless you really want to be brave.
편하게 넘어가는 클럽으로만 생각을 하면 될 것 같아요.
Almost want to pull hook that on purpose. So if you're going over the trees, and you're this shallow, you're not going to reach.
약간 안쪽으로 보고.
So the next option for the Brave is to start it to the right of those branches. You need to shape it enough to really work it back. If you're too straight, well, there's that sand trap on the horizon. She has her plan of attack. What is the end result? Well, she's able to reach. That is a very impressive recovery. It was always going to be a long follow-up shot, but hey, from that position to find the putting surface, that is a win in its own right. Fortune favored the Brave that time. There you see Yuhei ran 579 points. He has 36 on Kim Soo-ji. This is the putt from the fringe. Come around, ball. Stay straight all the way through. She will be looking at a par. Is next. Different perspective from this side of the teeing ground. She works it around without incident. Soo-ji, it's 12 meters. Up the hill, it'll flatten and then head right. She understood that perfectly, just needed a little bit more. It's a very good putt. 2 for par. Now Pak Jiyoung. No denying that the strength is there. Do a good spot in the fairway. Have a clean look down at the hole.
시작하겠습니다.
Far from a sure thing, but pretty much the best position you could hope to be after your tee shot here at 11. .6 meters. Starts it off the line, but it dives inside. She needed that stick to stay in. Yeah, she smiles. She knows she might have gotten away with one. Will be one over heading to the next tee. Pei Su-Yan suddenly finds herself chasing the lead she had about 20 minutes ago. It was for her birdie. Just need to calm her breathing, lower that heart rate a little bit. That's when the doubt can start to creep into your mind. There's still this to save par. The odds are stacked against Park Sang-yeon. The odds have never daunted her in her career. It is a bit under hit. She will take that bogey and run over to 13. Lee Ji-hyun 3. Delicate putt has enough. 2 bogeys on the back 9, 1 on the front, all in. It is a day of 71, 1 under par. Shouts to go. It went. It had the speed. Slightly misaligned. Just need to start that a bit further to the outside. Chung Hee-won at 18. This is the opposite case, I think, where the line was there. Speed was slightly lacking, however. Jung has her par. She knew when she saw the birdie miss. I think the doubts began to creep in. Back-to-back bogeys after not having one the first 16 holes of the day. She will be very frustrated with that 1 over finish, or 1 under finish, excuse me. Just the bogey is still a pretty good result considering where she put that tee shot. Joining the party at 1 under. It's an increasingly large number of people at that score. At the moment, there's 8 of them. Slight tap and finish. 71. It's 71 for her as well. It's been a minute since we've seen one of these. A birdie. That takes Lee So-young back to even through 13. Driver at 13, 344 meters. Second of 4 par 4s in a row, the longest such run on the entire course. A tee shot from up the hill that settles in nicely to the fairway. It's after the approach is on 12. Heads left. I'll sit above the hole as that ball comes to rest. More strategic than anything, but also can't be too surprised not to see driver pulled out of the bag. It's about 20 meters downhill. Dogleg left. Plenty of sand traps. 5 around the green, a massive one to the left of the fairway. Another along the tree line. It's a much better drive. Drive in the figurative sense, that is, with the 3-wood working its magic. ENG, $142. Pretty much finds the center. That'll be a good look at birdie. Neglect the distance and you'd be okay with that line. This is number 12. Only 7 birdies here all day. It's a good way to illustrate the dogleg left. The bunker, of course, is a factor, but that knoll at its rear, also the area where So-young had gone out and into the bushes. From there, a wide open green, 3 bunkers at the back, a large clover leaf on the front right, and the pin, as we were taught, here at number 12 on the left side. Kim Soo-ji first to drive. Duck. Down the cart path, off the drain grate, and out into the rough. Haven't seen too many of those misses to the right. So you can see she's gesturing down. Is that out of bounds? Is that in play? If you don't love the shot shaping from right to left, it's not the worst play to just go straight. It'll give you a little bit of a longer approach shot, but if you can keep it straight and in play, you've got the distance to reach. 3 wood's not a bad shout here. Yeah. Ran puts her head down in a bit of frustration. Her caddy sprinted over, and we'll see that that's not a terrible result, though there are some trees to contend with. Those are 2 dejected athletes as they wait for Feng Min-ji to go next. It's a star-studded group, this 35th. Top 3 in the points and the money, all playing together. Stepping out, 75% fairways in regulation. going to take the cautious approach. You'd have to think with driver the rest of the way. And she is the only of the trio to be in the fairway in regulation. And the hunt for Kim Soo-ji will begin momentarily. It is Kim Se-romi who is the sole leader at 3 under par with just 3 holes remaining, playing on the East Course at the moment. Song Ga-eun, Chung Soo-gi, and Kim Soo-ji tied for second at 2 under, and then nearly 10 players on pace for a 71. We'll step aside and be back to the Blue Heron after a short break. Out of trouble and in for a birdie for Bak Ji-young. First since the 8th hole, her 4th of the day. She moves herself into a tie for 2nd position. And a much more uneventful 13th, which will be just fine by Bak Sung-hyun. 104 meters on this approach. And looking right. Bring that bunker into play if it's offline. That's not the case. That's about as online as you can get. A big rebound from her bogey. Job's not done, but she's off on the right foot. So we go back to 12. From the rough. Trying to shape this again. 151 meters. Much lower with the iron this time, and we'll roll right up. Where will it finish, though? Glances off the divot. It's about pin high. That'll work out okay. As she receives the report from her caddy. Now to 17, Sung-gaun for a share of the lead. Going to have to work for this one. A right to left putt uphill. It's a narrow miss. Tap and Par shall have one last chance to reach 3 under, though Kim Se-romi still has a couple of holes of her own to try and pad that lead. ENG. Straight shot. Pops it up, takes most of the remaining speed away, and again, she will be faced with another opportunity for a birdie. Meters, the in-play point off the tee. You can see how much of a rocket that was. 246 when all is said and done. The cart path helping to boost that number a fair bit, and yikes. Roots all over the place. Needs to get it up slightly. It's going to vibrate through the hands, no doubt. Even if she has perfect contact, it's not going to feel good. She can deal with a bit of discomfort if it means avoiding compounding this mistake. Don't want to ground the club before the ball, make it move. Here's your oral warning onto the fact you can't come back too far on the backswing. Still rattles around, but I think anyone who's not a professional would have made that situation a whole lot worse. And you can see she shakes out that left hand. Ever played baseball without batting gloves? It's a similar feeling. You make the contact, especially with a root like that, sting right up to your elbow. So she's on the other side of that fairway. Excuse me, the other side of that little hill just off the fairway. And now she can start to think about her recovery shot from there. Well, it wouldn't be a major championship without an incredibly difficult opening round. Of the 108 in the field, only 13 are under par. Only 8 birdies here at number 12. Kim Soo-ji trying to get this as close as possible, knowing she's almost certainly faced with a bogey. That's a good fourth shot, and she's still trying to work out that wrist. From the bogey at 12 to a 2.7 meter downhill putt for birdie, but it's pulled. That didn't break in the slightest. And it'll be a par for her at 13. .123 meters and needing to climb 6 to get up to the green. The power she generates as she rotates through her hips. That's the club follow. Great contact, great result. Big moment for Bung Min-ji and company here. She can pick up her birdie. Kim Soo-ji trying to make sure that it's only one drop shot. Somewhere in between is Yoo Hae-ran. First effort from Yoo Hae-ran is close, but close will not affect the score. It is a tap-in. Now 7 pars in a row as she remains at even through 12. Amy Jung lining up on 14. 347 meters, 379 yards. Swinging that driver exceptionally well since her rocky start to the round. And Bak Jiang just inside of 100 meters along the bend in the fairway. It's a little shallow. Bit of a backspin to take it further down the hill. She is on in 2. Now this a bogey save attempt for Kim Soo-ji. Starts back to the right. Does it have the speed? Just. I'm daunted. It's a 68 she shot in round 1 last year on her way to the victory. Even par. The final round on Sunday was enough to secure that win. Sticking with the wood off the tee. Park Sang-hyun. This is all the available width in that fairway to the right, and lands in play. To 13, 91 meters for Chung Yoon-ji, who has her feet in the rough with the ball in the fairway. What's the result? Bit unorthodox, and that's plenty of work to do. See, you do not want to be left on that putt. How quickly the slope will carry your ball away with your hopes and dreams of birdie or par there. Speaking of hoping for a birdie, Peng Min-ji, she is back to even. Bogey birdie, bogey birdie, bogey birdie with some pars scattered in between. She'll head to 13. We'll head to 16. This Oh-ji Hyun, she is +5. The fact that we're seeing her for the first time today usually means good things. Let me tell you, through the fringe, keep your focus, and nearly pin high, as it's about 15 centimeters away from an ace. Well, the canines in the background, not keeping as quiet as the gallery is. He's so young, rocking back onto her heels. It's a quick adjustment and a tap-in par to stay it even. Still 4 holes to play. Compared to 12, 13 has been kinder. 16 birdies here today. 18 scores over par, but almost bang on average. 4.05 shots per hole for the field. G will take that with little to no complaints. To go on 14. Gets a good bounce. Needs it to slow up now, though. You can see the divot where it landed so close to the pin. Kim Soo-ji, some struggles with driver today. This sounds better. Second cut of the fairway is where she will land and where she will stay. Back to 13. The longest of the 3 looks for birdie, nearly 14 meters under the hole. Needs that to move. Look at that. What a birdie. Looking straight and inside the whole way through, but Chung Yoon-ji has her second bird of the back 9, 2 and 4. 14 meters, no sweat, she says. Yu Ren, similar problems with the big stick so far today. Less than half of her fairways in regulation. She nearly finds the sand. Bounces into the rough. Jung takes the shallow route here. Somewhere in between that, Park Sang-hyun is an eagle. Certainly a birdie. Five and a half meters, and Park Ji-young moves to 3 under par, picks up some speed at the end. Moved her. We tie for the lead. She'll settle for par. Sheehan Sol, we haven't seen a birdie from her since she putted from off the green. This one much more straightforward. She has it. 2 over she goes. That is a tie for 49th position. Depending on how tomorrow goes, 4, 5 over range will likely be our cut line. She stood up out of it pretty quick. I think she knew it was awry. It's about as perfect as you could ask for off that particular tee. Strong tee shot, a decent approach, albeit a bit short. Cost her a birdie. Work paying off. An exhale to the roar of the supporters. It's pretty good up from the fairway for Peng Minji. From the front of the green and rolling down to a decent spot. Yuhei ran after just missing the sand trap. Needed a bit more backspin than that. It looked promising for a moment. On the Top spin kicked in, shot right off onto the fringe. This is that whole journey. From the drop, like an unfortunate game of Plinko. Narrowly missing the top of her foot as well. I think the hand has probably just stopped stinging for her. Jung, it's a great finish to the hole. She's still very much in the hunt here. This would be her shot for birdie. It's still 8 meters. Tricky one as she goes over the fringe. Has the speed nearly to get all the way there. Ji Hyun finally back in the birdie column. There will be no birdie to be had for Yoo-Hae Ran. She'll have to settle for par, which is befitting of her round so far. She's even through 13. Hasn't seen birdie since the 4th hole. EA1 on 15. She's 2 over. Gets through the rough, through the fringe, and gets fairly close. She'll have a really good look to pick up one more stroke to the good, get closer. Still be just outside the top 30 with a birdie. She's got to start somewhere. Yoon-ji, 128 meters back from the fairway at 14. It's another one that flirts with the fringe, gets just on to the dance floor. Young on 17, also a chance to get to 1 over. She's got that. First birdie since the 9th hole. One more go to try and get to even. Back on 14 with Park Ji-young, her approach. 124 meters. And a little bit more right to left than that. Trying to get it closer to that left edge. Stays above the hole. This is for a share of the lead. Stays to the inside. Close, but not quite there. Tap in par. Pretty good recovery from a near disaster just one hole ago. Ji, who fell to Kim Soo-ji by 2 strokes. Same score that she was tied with Im Hee-jung at. 70 in the final round, the second lowest score of the day. Even if she had leveled it, that 69 wouldn't have been enough. Birdie here, and she'll be back on pace to replicate what she did at Blue Heron in round 1 last year. 364 days later. Way too much pace on that. For a downhill putt, that rocketed across the green. Four holes remain to try and get back to even. Closing in on the top 10. Gets a nice bounce to the left. Shouldn't be all that surprised with how she's driving today, especially since that brutal start to the round with 4 birdies in the first 7. She makes 3/4 of her fairways in regulation, excuse me. Kim Hee-jung. Meanwhile, Bugmin Ji, from a look at birdie to a bogey in just about 60 seconds. Unwinds for her. Back down into that tie for 30 seconds. The unfortunate pattern continues. She picks up a stroke, she loses it, she pars a couple of times, and the cycle repeats. So go to the tee at 15. Finally back with driver. 384 meters. It is the longest par 4 on course, and it's almost a complete straight shot. That is our reminder why she had parked that driver in her bag for the past few holes. Right into the tree. She's actually a bit fortuitous that it didn't go through the trunks and onto the other side where it would have been near impossible to recover from. See, she takes a couple of practice swings after, but wouldn't be surprised if we don't see that driver again until the 18th when she needs it for the par 5. Over to 18. Song Gaeun-chi has been just outside of the lead for so long in this round. Can she take it with her last stroke of the day? She can. A 69 in the opening round. Birdies at 3, 5, 13, and now 18. There's 1 bogey on the round as well. Joins Chung Soo-gi atop the leaderboard. And Jin Sun also trying to end with the bird. This to get to 1 under inside of the top 10. It's not going to come back, is it? Well, it starts to, but the speed was the detriment. Tap in for a 72. 6 birdies on the bounce to finish the opening round. Go back to 14. Just past 4 p.m. Eastern time. Yojushi. 3rd hour of coverage of the 22nd edition of the HITE JINRO Championship. Soo-ji, another one where it's almost cut across into the rough. Now EA1 on 15. We saw her set up this shot about 5 minutes ago, hanging on. All she can do is watch as that ball sails by the hole. Yuhei Ran. She needs something in her game to turn around, get a bit of momentum. She joins Kim Soo-ji in the rough. Long putt for birdie for Chung Yoon-ji. That would have brought her back into the lead. Just hangs up above the hole to tap in par. 2 under, 4 to play. Well, if the yo-yo pattern is to stay consistent, birdie should be imminent for Feng Min-ji. Starts off well as the only member of the group to find the fairway. This is the green that they will reach. Park Ji-young just inside of 7 meters. Breaks to the inside, stays out. Tell you, while it's still great to be here in early October, we're a little bit early to see the full effects of the autumn leaves. Get some fantastic gold and orange in this course as the season progresses. Ximian Zhang, 155. And she underhits that by a great deal. Needed another club. Well, we heard the impact before we saw it. She will consider herself lucky that there aren't really any obstacles directly between her and the flag. It is still not a fun place to try and pick this ball up and out of. You're not going to see it. It's buried in the long grass. She's probably going for a 5. She had a hero shot with this exact iron at 12. She's 151 meters out, ball beneath her feet. Blast that up and unsurprisingly stays short. She gave it a good whack though. Shy for Yuhei Ran. Must be quite the air show going on around the course. Seems like we've been listening to that jet for the past half an hour. Perhaps it struck too well from Yuhei Ran, too much power. It'll start on its way back, but stop there. Half kidding when you make the joke about the up and down, but when she's hitting shots like that, it's tough to disagree with the math. She was able to get it up, but not quite as much pace. A little bit under hit. Young with a decent effort, but still not quite on target. Go to 18. No Sung-yi. Unfortunate double bogey earlier in the round that really detracted the good work she had done. She will settle for a tap-in par. There is that double bogey on 13. Comes in with a 38 after going out with a 34. That is a 72 right down the middle. Kim Soo-ji, 134 meters, just avoiding a pretty nasty divot. Lands in a decent spot to take some of the speed off of it, but not enough as she's headed all the way to the back, and she'll be the first to play when she reaches the green. Look at that. That's a great birdie. Hee So-mi, just her third of the day, her first of the back nine as she finishes round one with an even 72. So Jean follows up her bogey at 15 with a birdie at 16. Her second of the day, she gets closer to even. Is pulled to the inside. Another frustrating exit from a hole as she leaves another one there. Two drop shots on this back nine. Kim Se-romi had been leading at one point. Now finds herself on the outside looking in. Jung, it's a par at 15. A long way back. Young on the hill in the rough. Turning to 14, Kim Soo-ji. Lengthy look at birdie. Be that surprising that that one's short. From a similar position at 15, looking for a little bit of extra muscle. Was on line for the hole, had a bit more carry to avoid the rough. But Minji, no, she will not get back to even on this occasion. Four to play, four back. Needs to start putting a birdie run together if she wants anything to do with the clubhouse lead at the end of this Thursday. Go to 16, Hong Jung-min. Down the hill and slightly left, not quite pin high. Secured on 14, still very much in the hunt is Kim Soo-ji. Kim Seung-mi back to 3 under, nearly. So 37 when all said and done, 3 straight birdies, 13, 14, and 15, having teed off at the 10. The East course proving to be a bit more challenging for her as we take a look at the aerial tour of the 15th. As I mentioned earlier, the longest par 4 out on the course. This is, in theory, the easiest hole on the course. Relatively wide fairway. Slightly downhill, and then from there, you have the nice fountain, you have the nice water feature. Your accuracy will be tested, there's no doubt about that. 11 yards off the front and 10 yards from the left is where we find the green today. Really anywhere in the middle, level with the green, is the best case scenario. You can also see that gorgeous waterfall at the back. Came close, but it leaps over the hole despite being online. To see the official yardage on this, 21.7. It's a very long putt for birdie. She needs to start it to our right, up the hill. She has enough to get over, which she will. It'll drop back down. Is there a return break? Yes, just at the end. That's about 20 meters of that nearly 22 that she needed. It's a good putt. Still bouncing around the cart path. Give it a bit of extra yardage, but it does find the rough. Unorthodox, but nevertheless not all that troublesome for Kim Soo-ji. For Hong Jun-min after a nice tee shot at 16. But it has still been an opening round to forget, +4 at the minute. Despite it being a pretty straight shot down, Yuhei Ran unable to take advantage of that wide open fairway, also finding the rough. Finally, somebody able to find the fairway. It's Bang Min-ji letting an opportunity to get back to even slip. She's off to a good start here at 50. Im Hee-jung also at +1 on the par 3. Just onto the green, and that is just about perfect. Sang-hyun, the next to tee off on the par 3. Already just got the tutorial on the best way to play. She studied for the test, it appears. Jiyoung has her par secured. Oh, even better. Lands and stays almost exactly where it arrived at the green. Keep a much closer eye on Oh Ji-hyun down the stretch here. At the moment, 2 players on 3 under. Jung Soo-gi still out on course on the 8th, her 17th hole of the day. Song Gaeun in with a 69, Kim Se-ro-mi in with a 70, Park Ji-young and a few others trailing very closely behind at that 2 under score, trying to push for a late move to the top. This is our opening round coverage of the 22nd HITE JINRO Championship at Blue Heron. ENG down with her approach on 15. Now we go to 16. Pak Sung Hyun started that outside and it stayed outside. Slightest of tap-ins. She is through 16 and is stuck at even. It's been a tough back nine. Has 2 holes to try and get back under. Only 11 players at the moment are under par. And Yuhei Ran is one of 19 who are at even, playing her next from the rough. Decent contact. She gets through that last patch, rolls onto the front of the green. Jung make it 20 players at even. Downhill putt for birdie. Hey, she's got it. Makes that one look easy. It's been a long climb back up to this position. 4 birdies and 7. 4 bogeys, excuse me, in 7, and now 4 birdies since. Mental fortitude to put that tough start behind her. Very impressive, and she's being rewarded for it. Kim Soo-ji has found 86% of her greens in regulation, looking for another. Looking for a birdie to move into a share of the lead, but does not escape that final defensive portion of rough before the green. On the 16th tee. Pin just narrowly on the front. They can use that run up to help slow it down. She does go just beyond it, but into still quite obvious birdie position. The echoes of good shot for a reason. It's a good escape from the rough. Now she just has to finish. Most straightforward path, but into the fairway. Another brilliant tee shot at 16. Young couldn't have asked for much more than that. Ji Hyun has her birdie. Finishes with a flourish. It was an exceptional approach to put herself in that position. She finishes the day with a 76. We're going to need to be a lot more steady and consistent tomorrow if she has aspirations of making the cut. 15 is where we find Peng Min-ji. This is another look at the tee shot. Misses the green, comes up short, and then splash. Another penalty for her today. This time of the water variety. Now her fourth. Needs to hole out to avoid dropping a stroke. Needs to hole out and nearly does. Rejoin that group in a moment. In the meantime, we'll go to 17. 116. Straight down the fairway, needing to stay right. You can just make out the silhouette of the flag. She stayed right. Needs to start converting on some of these putts. The slightly less probable, but still very much makeable putts that have been something of her nemesis today. Ran at long last could go under. Would have been just her second birdie of the day and her first since the fourth hole. But not to be, as that just rolls beyond before making that final tailing movement back online. And 16 meters for Im Hee-jung. And needs to get up. You can really see the baked in fade to that. She's on the wrong side of the green now. Yoon-ji can move into a share of the lead with a birdie here. Starts it on line and finishes in the cup. Third birdie of the back nine. She has been absolutely dialed in, focused. Min-ji mitigates some of the potential damage after finding the water on her approach shot. She bogeys the 15th. This is Park Ji-young. She too a chance to move into a share of the leads, but she will not be joining Chung Yoon-ji. Hard to believe it was April when she had her win. Wire to wire at the Mediheal Hangul Championship. Kim Soo-ji, who came close a few times and is now on back-to-back victories, the OK Savings Bank Sari Pack Invitational, and a big ticket item, the Hana Financial Group Championship. She won last week. 1.5 billion won was the purse in that event. These two putts, what it takes. Slightly bit more dejected, the body language, as she walks off knowing what an opportunity she had in front of her. First tee shot of the group is a good one. Oh, it's online. Just shallow, slightly under hit. And we go to 17 with one of our co-leaders, Chung Yoon Ji. 50% fairways in regulation today. Despite some of the troubles to start the par 4s and 5s, she's been able to make up for it. That's a nearly perfectly struck drive into the fairway. Now Pak Sung Hyun. That's moving right. It's going to come back. No, it won't. Tapped in par that she settles with one last chance to go under. We're live on the 17th. Park Ji-young from the rough. Trying to work back down towards the green to the front left of it, but a long way away. Quite the return path on that ball as she tries to put herself at least in par position. Suji currently in a tie for 6th. Trying to join Park Ji-young and Kim Se-romi in a tie for a runner-up. Her weight was there, the line fails her slightly. One under through 16. The defending champ, as well as the back-to-back winner on tour. Yoonji, might she be the one to stand above the rest by the end of the day? Keeps making shots like that. It's hard to think otherwise. Cursed today by the look of her body language and the look of that putt, quite honestly. Still birdieless since the 4th hole. That is quite the run. 11 consecutive without a birdie. This is how the leaderboard looks. 3 players currently sharing the spoils. Chung Soo-gi on her final hole on the front 9. Yoonji, just a couple to play, playing on 17. Sungyeon in the clubhouse with the 69. More from the 22nd HITE JINRO Championship in moments. We're down to the final few tee shots for our featured group. That is the last on a par 4. Kim Soo-ji into the fairway as we go to 18, nearing 5 p.m. local time in Yojushi. Would have loved, in a best case scenario, a bit more of a roll down towards the hole, but that will work out just fine. Thank you very much, So Young. And now Yuhei Ran with driver. She struggled with this club today. Looks more like it. Straight as an arrow, 21 meters at the apex, and yes. It is not a very wide fairway to work with, but she handles herself quite well. Park Ji-young for birdie at 17. It's a long effort, though. Slows up at the last minute, and she'll have to recover, looking for par. Well, 1, 2, 3, and a perfect little grouping in the fairway. And that green is where they're headed next. Jung Yoon-ji will rue that miss. That is what separates the true contenders, the true dominating performances. Anything inside of 5 feet, especially at a major that's playing so tough, has to be had. Park Sung-hyun over the creek towards the left. Will be the next shot. You can see the bridge that brings you up onto the green, but she is into the rough, and I don't think she will have many fond memories of this first round, at least, unfortunately. Maybe on the front 9. Ji-young has her tap-in par. 1 hole to go, and still 1 back. Hee-jung also from the rough on 18, her second. She goes rough to rough, completely overshooting that narrow fairway. Two drives exactly on 232. You have Yuhei Ran just a bit further out wide. She's grabbed 9-iron. It looks promising. Bit of backspin, but still inside about 3.5, 4 meters. When she is on her game, she could almost put a blindfold on and make a putt from that distance. Can't say she's been able to reach that flow state today. Kim Soo-ji is next. That will work out swimmingly. Right on line. She walks that one in. So Young finishes with a birdie. 3 on the day, bogeys at 8 and 10. It's a 71 in round 1. Lastly, Bang Minji rolls back towards Yuhei Ran at the front of this green. Chung Yoon-ji, your final tee shot of the day. Too much muscle on that approach shot. It goes all the way to the back fringe. Pros and cons. Cons, the back nine has not gone well. Pro, still 3 more rounds for Baek Sung-hyun.
안 되는 것 같아요.
So we pan across the course. Look at the leaderboard. Not much to update you on since we last looked at it. Starting to have fewer players at that 1 under score, with the race to 3 under starting to run out of time. Song Gaeun, Chung Yoon-ji, Chung Sul-gi with the second and third name listed, both with just 1 hole remaining in round 1 of the 22nd HITE JINRO Championship. We'll be back to Blue Heron right after this. G a bit snake bitten at the moment. Struggling to find those birdies. Closing stretch of this first round. Long swooping putt at 18. Is there some final magic in store for Pak Sung-hyun? Close, but no cigar. The unfortunate way that it has gone in round one. That is an excruciating par to undermine a fantastic effort. She had 14 on the day, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys. Right down the middle and even at 72 at the end of round number 1. No, Yuhei ran her putt on 17. She is in the same boat. Young with that frustrating miss. Chung could be her 71st and final shot of the day. It's carrying a lot of speed. It's not online. Now Kim Soo-ji to move within 1 with 1 to go. 0 for 3 from our featured group. Not how they would have hoped this final hole would go before the 18th. Blue Heron is playing a tough customer at the moment. Jung, a bogey after working so hard to get back to even. She pars the 17th and drops 1 before exiting. .286 and a 5-wood for Chung Yoon-ji. Down she goes, and, well, we thought the leaderboard would have a bit more volatility at this point in the day, but things are starting to cement themselves pretty strongly. Still waiting for Chung Yoon-ji and Chung Soo-gi to finish their rounds. Kim Se-ro-mi is 70. She's in the clubhouse. Park Ji-young on the 18th as well. And a tie for 4th position. And then at 1 under, that is one of the very popular scores today, where we find a handful of players at the moment. 7 of them. Pei Soo-yeon, Lee So-young, Lee Ji-hyun 3, Chung Hee-yeon, Park Hye-il, Kim Ji-soo, and Kim Soo-ji. More from Blue Heron right after this. Some 6 hours and 4 minutes after they teed off to begin the round, our featured group has reached the 18th and final hole of the day. Yuhei ran barely, but on the fairway to its right side, its extreme right. She'll take that based on some of the other drives she's had today. Starting to feel the wind pick up, the clouds roll in. It's like something might be brewing overnight here. 3 meters per second, 17 degrees and overcast skies. Forecasting mostly cloudy tomorrow and Saturday. And then at the moment, rain and wind on the horizon for Sunday. Jung-Soo Gi, she also secures, her round of 69 with 3 birdies. In the final 9 of her round, having teed off on the 10th earlier this morning. Kim Soo-ji. She never shot the same round twice last year, and she never had a 71. 68, 69, 67, and 72 on her way to the title. We are in a very rich stretch of the calendar. Mid-September to the end of October, there are big money events. Kim Soo-ji, the Hana Financial Group Championship. That purse, 1.5 billion won. This purse, 1.2 billion. Next week, Kongo Construction Court Championship at Iksan, 1 billion. Following week at Alpencia, the SK Networks, the KH Group IHQ Kanbei Women's Open, 1.5 billion as well. The approach shot on 18. Park Ji-young, who has won her fair share of cash this season, 672 million won, although Bang Min-ji close to doubling that up. Tiptoeing its way and having just enough to go off the cup and in. Just the second birdie of the day for Pae Kyung-eun. 11 pars, 3 bogeys, and a double as well in the round. Yuhei ran. Not often a good sign when the bulk of your day has that perplexed look on your face. That's unfortunately been the case for you here. Bang Min-ji, it's a great looking shot down the fairway. That'll set her approach up very well. Feature, putting that jib camera to use. Ji-young for birdie. Her share of the lead if she can get it there. Had the line. Tap in par at the end. So 70 at the end of the Thursday. Kim Soo-ji, it's 259, just onto the rough. Not going to make matters much easier, unfortunately. Another near miss on 18. It's a 69 as well for Chung Yoon-ji, and the three-way tie atop the leaderboard is all but finalized. There's just one group still out there. She had the chance, especially on 17, to take the outright. Kim Soo-ji is the closest to the top, and she is in a predicament. 2 strokes back and in the fairway, in and around the trees. Tap in, and the end of the day for Chi Han-sol. 4 bogeys on the front 9 and a bogey at the last. Tough day at the office. Make their way over the bridge and up towards the clubhouse, and that means the green is wide open. Now, that doesn't mean Kim Soo-ji is any closer to being sure on what she wants to do from this position. She's as ready as she's going to be. This is her out. Goes off the bridge, avoids the water, and shoots back towards the rough. That could have gone much, much worse than it did. Here's the look, and we'll slow it right down. Off the end of the bridge. If it pops forward, she's on the green. But it is also entirely possible that it could have gone into the drink or into a much worse situation. So I guess she'll just have to be okay with that one. Approach from Yoo-Hae Ran is going to just hang on to the green. Very close to the fringe. Stays put there. That's the best of the lot. not particularly close either. Saving one of her best for the end of the day, Peng Minji. Now she's ready. It's a late arrival. It's a late arrival to the green. She is there, however. An eventful journey to get there, however. Zooming in on the final three. First to putt. This looks pretty good. She finally has another. And a massive exhale at long last. And she finishes the day, despite it being something of a roller coaster, 1 under par. She didn't have her birdies today for the most part, but she also didn't make many mistakes. A subdued but warranted celebration, I'd have to say. Kim Soo-ji. Pushed it. Not to be. Drops her head skyward. No, she was close. I think that would be a pretty common feeling out of this group. At the end of the day, Min-ji officially into the clubhouse with a 73 +1. There were moments where she looked destined to at least be in a share of the lead. And then mistakes crept into her game. So she will settle by being just outside of the top 15. Down in a tie for 27th, a 73. It's a pretty popular score, 14 players at that mark. Kim Soo-ji for bogey will drop out of the top 6. Finish the day tied for 13th, 72. Bogey at the last in a unplanned detour into the trees. And nobody out of our feature group contesting at least at the top by the end of day number 1. Watch as they make their way into the clubhouse. In just a moment here, we will, of course, have our first round highlights and a final look at the leaderboard. But in the meantime, a bit of tranquility. Or maybe we'll do it in the reverse order. We'll give you the leaderboard first, shall we? Chung Yoon-ji, Sung Ga-eun, Chung Sul-gi, all 69s, 3 under par in round 1. Kim Se-rumi, Park Ji-young, 70s. Pei Soo-yeon, Lee So-young, Lee Ji-hyun, 3. Yoo Hae-ran, Chung Hee-yeon, Park Yeol, and Kim Ji-soo. Only other players under par. Here are the round highlights. We will begin on the second hole. And this is when everyone was reminded of the quality of Park Sung-hyun. Her first birdie on the third to move her to 1 under. She'd have a great front 9 before things unfortunately began to slip away for her. From off the green, Park Ji-young holding out from the fringe. Nice putt early in her round. We would then move to towards the end of the East course. And it's another. At that point, 2 under and very much challenging for position towards the top. Im Hee-jung, we know all about her early round troubles. This was her long climb out of the basement and back towards relevancy. It was a good birdie to make a statement. Speaking of statements, this on 8, all the way up the hill and then slightly back down on that crest, but on line. Ji-young reminding us of her proficiency with that putter. From there, Sung Ga-eun, of course, who was in a very good position by day's end. Great birdie set up on that trip around, just her 3rd of the day at that point, but moving forward again, which is much better than the alternative, which we saw from some players on the back nine. Lim Hee-jung, that was one of her most impressive putts. And Jung Yoon-ji for birdie at 10. At that point, her fourth, and back to under par after that conversion. So Young 13, a birdie to get to even. Long putts that continue to drop. None more so on the impressive scale than that effort from Jung Yoon-ji, her second of the back nine to move her one back of the lead. Sung Gaeun would be the first to reach 69 heading into the clubhouse with this impressive make. From the back left of the 18th green, her fourth birdie of the day, her only blemish, a bogey at 10. Other side of the course. Kim Se-rumi had teed off on the 10th hole, so she finished her round on the 9th. And she just pushed it, excuse me, just pulled it to the inside. Otherwise, she would have been right up there. She would settle for a 70 in round one. More from Im Hee-jung. Just enough pace to make the line work. 16, Jung Yoon-ji. She was pushing towards her score that she would end the day with. On the short par 3, just off the front edge of the fringe, nice and close. She still would need to capitalize on the putt, however, and she did just that. A perfect read and an equally impressive execution to get to that 3 under where she would finish the day. Go to 18, Lee So-young for birdie to move to 1 under. She can add that one to the birdie column in round 1. Her third of the day. She had 2 bogeys, otherwise she would be sharing top spot. She'll go back to 9, Jung Soo-gi. This could have given her the outright on her final hole. There was a lot to do, mind you. She got just about all of it, centimeters shy. That would result in her par, and it would result in her staying at 2 under. Well, we got to save some of the best for last, don't we? We nearly could have classified this as the shot of the day. Park Sung-hyun was just too cool with that putter. Cool as in cold and not cool and calm under pressure. Same can be said for Im Hee-jung. An unfortunate drop at the end to 73 with that bogey. And Park Ji-young, she had a chance to also join the co-leaders, but despite the line being millimeter perfect, it was under hit and it would come up short, so no spoils for her. Jung Yoon-ji for the outright, but on the other side of that coin, too much pace on it and it pops back out off the edge. So a tap-in par for her 69, then Yoo-hae Ran, steady as it would go today. And finally, her first birdie since the 4th hole, very early in her round. But her patience, her persistence paid off. Just the 1 bogey at 5 and 2 birdies on the day as she finishes in a pretty good spot, down in a time for 6th position. Going through it all now, again, Chung Yoon-ji, Sung Gaun, Chung Sul-gi, 69s, Kim Se-rumi, Park Ji-young, 70s, Pei Soo-hyun, amongst those like Yu Hae-ren, Chung Hee-won, Park Yeol, Kim Ji-soo at 1 under, and Song-yi leading the charge of about a dozen and a half at this even par score in a tie for 13th position. See Park Young-young with a 73 today, as was the case for Im Hee-jung. Bang Min-ji with those bogeys down the stretch, she would also finish with a 73, along with Hamin Song, Kim So-yi, EA1, So Yeon-jung, Chae A-reem, all at +2. And we would think that +2, +3 will be in and around the projected cut line. But that is a discussion, and that is something to watch out for tomorrow. For now, this is the end of the road for round 1, the final major championship of the season, hosted here at the beautiful Blue Heron Golf Club. On behalf of our entire SBS Golf and Spot Cruise, I've been Adam Jenkins, signing off from my studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, wishing you a very pleasant rest of your Thursday, and we look forward to welcoming you back, same place, same time tomorrow for round 2. This has been the opening round coverage of the 22nd HITE JINRO Championship on the LPGA Tour of Korea.